Former WWE Champion and future First Ballot Hall of Famer AJ Styles has confirmed that he will be retiring from professional wrestling in 2026, with himself actually stating that it could be as soon as around WrestleMania next year. With that being said, with all the talk of final opponents recently for John Cena, just who could be AJ Styles' final opponent in WWE? In this countdown video, we're going to let you know 5 possible names who could be AJ Styles' final opponent. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And certainly right now, a lot of people are talking about final opponents, aren't they? That's because John Cena next month will be having his final ever match inside the squared circle at Saturday night's main event. And a tournament is set to begin next week to determine who's going to be facing the never-seen 17-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. But during this retirement tour, Cena faced off and resumed his rivalry with AJ Styles, culminating in a match at WWE Crown Jewel Perth that was critically acclaimed and certainly filled with praise from fans too. During that time, Styles once again reaffirmed that he is set to retire in the near future, with him stating that he will be retiring from professional wrestling in 2026, which has already led to speculation as to who could be Styles' final opponent on his own mini retirement tour around WrestleMania time next year. Let's get into the names that Styles could face off against in his final pro wrestling match, beginning with Jacob Fatu. Now, when it comes to the next big thing in WWE, it feels like at the moment it's on the verge of a bit of a transitional time. You know, stars like John Cena, like AJ Styles are set to retire. Roman Reigns is a part-time wrestler. Brock Lesnar is a part-time wrestler. Ticket sales are starting to go down, television ratings are starting to go down, and maybe WWE is once again now trying to find what its new identity is going to be. Who's going to be the next big thing, the next big face of World Wrestling Entertainment? Of course, they've got QB1, the quarterback in Cody Rhodes right now, but who's going to be the guy to replace Cody Rhodes? Now, some will say, no, it's not going to be Jacob Fatu, but certainly Fatu, ever since he debuted in WWE in 2024, has been presented very, very carefully and does not lose too many matches and been featured in several high-profile moments. He's already a former WWE United States champion, and when he dropped the United States Championship, a lot of people speculated this was because he was about to enter the WWE Championship scene. Now, unfortunately for him, during his rivalry with Drew McIntyre, he has this non-wrestling related injury. It's reportedly a dental injury, and it could keep him out of action for not too long, maybe as early as next year, possibly around the time of the Royal Rumble he might return. He might even be ready to return later on this month during War Games, a match that he was originally scheduled for. So when it comes to Fatu, clearly WWE are very high on him, and maybe he could be a real perfect opponent for someone like AJ Styles. AJ Styles, certainly in the early stages of his career in TNA Wrestling, was very well known for not only having fantastic matches, but being able to do things that people didn't think was possible, and that's something that Jacob Fatu, the Samoan Werewolf, has absolutely done during his short time in WWE already. For a man of his size, he is able to do things that he shouldn't be able to do, whether it's moonsaults, whether it's flips, whether it's dives, whether it's whatever. The guy is an absolute freak. Now, Styles Fatu don't have too much history, but it could be, something that Styles may want to do. Put over the younger star, put over someone that's going to be featured on WWE television moving forward. Fatu will have to wait and see when he comes back and what he's going to be doing when he comes back. But certainly Samoan Werewolf could be someone that Styles faces before he retires. Now, before we move on to the next name on this countdown list, a reminder, this video is brought to you in collaboration with all of our great affiliates. That includes NordVPN. You can see right there, they're in the sidebar. We're talking about WWE here. And what if I told you can watch all of your WWE content through one Netflix subscription? Well, you can. If you're here in the UK, you can anyway. But if you're in the United States or an international territory that doesn't have the Netflix deal or anything like that, in the USA, you've got to watch Raw on Netflix. You've got to watch NXT on the CW. You've got to watch SmackDown on USA. Then you've got to watch PLEs on ESPN. Then you've got to watch NXT PLEs on Peacock. There's so many different subscriptions and things that you need to have. Well, if you get a VPN, including NordVPN, you can change your location to an international territory, and you can watch all of your WWE content through one Netflix subscription. That's right, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, main roster PLEs, NXT PLEs, all on Netflix, plus archive content. In addition to that, you can watch Saturday night's main event for free on YouTube. All you got to do, get a VPN. You can use our link, scan that QR code, or use our custom link. That's nordvpn.com/WN365. You can get up to 77% off plus 3 months extra, depending on the plan that you choose. And you can save yourself some money. You can support the channel in the process. Your support is really greatly appreciated. Let's move on to the next name on this countdown list that could face off against AJ Styles, Mike Santana. Now, this is a bit of an interesting one. I think if a year ago or 18 months ago, you'd say, what about Mike Santana for AJ Styles' final opponent? You'd say, really? The guy from AEW that doesn't wrestle and is, had a fallout with his tag team partner? What's going on there? Well, Mike Santana is perhaps one of, if not the best case study for betting on yourself and not being content with what you're doing and wanting more for yourself and believing yourself and going out and proving it. Mike Santana was in AEW. He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy in AEW. He felt like he and Ortiz should be featured more on AEW television, should be in higher spots. He wanted more for himself. He wanted more. Ortiz was happy with what was going on there, and they had a falling out about it. Mike Santana decides he's going to leave AEW. Even then, when he decides he's going to leave AEW, he has a serious knee injury that keeps him out for nearly a year. But he comes back, finishes up there, and goes, nope, I want to be a singles. I want to be wrestling more often. Even if it's for less money in front of less people, I'm going to bet on myself. And that's exactly what he did. He goes to TNA Wrestling, and over the course of his tenure there, he's become one of the most standout performers in that company. Currently, the TNA World Champion, one of the high spots of the year was him winning that at Bound for Glory. He also was involved in title matches at Slammiversary. He's had matches on WWE television. WWE are reportedly very high on him, and I wouldn't be shocked that whenever his contract does come up, if WWE are looking to sign the current TNA World Champion. Now, how does this factor into AJ Styles? Well, Styles, he's Mr. TNA, isn't he? I mean, when you talk about TNA's early years, and certainly from 2002 to when the company was founded till really when he left, which was in 2013, around that period of time, AJ Styles was TNA Wrestling. And what better way for AJ Styles to have his final match than against the current TNA World Champion? Now, granted, there's still a lot of time to go between now and WrestleMania time, which is roughly when AJ Styles said he was probably going to retire. So we'll wait and see who indeed is the TNA World Champion then. But right now, Mike Santana feels like sort of the best representative of TNA. And he felt like he was even before he was TNA World Champion. That's why there was so much push and momentum for him to hold the gold. But Mike Santana is still the TNA World Champion. Come WrestleMania time, we already saw the TNA World Champion appear at last year's WrestleMania, or this year's WrestleMania, when Joe Hendry faced off against Randy Orton in Orton's Open Challenge. Why not Santana versus Styles? A match that you definitely wouldn't have considered a couple of years ago. But now, times change, and it might be the perfect thing. AJ Styles putting over a younger talent, but also putting over TNA on a big WWE stage on the way out. That seems like something Styles could possibly be interested in. Next up, Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker, when I talk earlier on about the next big face of WWE, the next franchise player, the next QB1 to replace Cody Rhodes, it feels like, certainly, doesn't it, that name, that person to do that is going to be Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker, in WWE's eyes, is the next big thing. You know, the faction, the vision, whilst it was led by Seth Rollins initially, and yes, Rollins won the World Heavyweight Championship, that group was just as much about Bron Breakker as it was about Seth Rollins. Yes, Rollins is in the forefront, or was in the forefront prior to his injury and into the spotlight, but really what that group was about was getting Paul Heyman aligned with Bron Breakker, something that he had been doing behind the scenes while Breakker was in NXT and then on the main roster as well. And in addition to that, it was about, at some point, Breakker's going to turn on Seth Rollins, and Paul Heyman's going to come with him, and Heyman's going to be his advocate. Heyman's going to be his manager, and Bron Breakker's going to be the next WWE or World Heavyweight Champion. Now, even when Rollins vacated the championship recently, there was thought of, well, maybe they'll just put the title on Bron Breakker early, and WWE reportedly said, no, we've got bigger plans, greater plans. We want to make sure that when he does win that World Heavyweight Championship, and he will, when he wins that title, it's going to be on the biggest stage possible. Maybe a WrestleMania, maybe a SummerSlam, or maybe, you know, some other event that we're not aware of just yet. So Bron Breakker, he is going to be, I think, the next big face of WWE. And if that is the case, then maybe he retires AJ Styles at WrestleMania next year. It depends what WWE, I suppose, has planned for Breakker. because you think about, okay, what are going to be the big title matches next year at Mania? Of course, we're not going to have John Cena. He's going to be retired by that point. Are you going to have Bron Breakker versus Brock Lesnar? Or is Brock going to have that match against Gunther that was rumored for WrestleMania 40 a couple of years ago? What's the World Heavyweight Championship match going to be at WrestleMania? Is it going to be CM Punk versus Bron Breakker? That could be a possibility. Or is it going to be, Cody Rhodes? Is he going to be facing Randy Orton? Is Cody Rhodes going to be facing Bron Breakker? So it depends if Bron Breakker's involved in those world title pictures. I think if he's not, retiring someone with the name and the career of AJ Styles, that is a massive opportunity, and that is a massive platform for someone WWE is clearly very, very high on. So Bron Breakker getting that honor in retiring AJ Styles at a WrestleMania or in and around that time might be exactly what WWE is looking to do, adding more momentum, adding more accolades, getting more momentous occasions behind Bron Breakker could be something that they're aiming to do moving forward. Next up, going back to the TNA theme, what about Kazarian? Frankie Kazarian. Now, you may say, oh, and Frankie Kazarian, really? I thought you said this was going to be a WWE video. Why would Kazarian be AJ Styles' final match? Well, the reason is because they're very good friends. They're very good friends. They've got a ton of history together, whether it's working in the X Division outside of the ring. They're well known for being very good friends. We also saw recently in that match at Crown Jewel Perth between AJ Styles and John Cena. It was kind of a glorified tribute match with both stars really going through their histories and rivalries that they had with people in WWE and in AJ Styles' case in TNA and also in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they paid tribute to all of their former opponents hitting their moves. That included AJ Styles hitting Kazarian's Fade to Black finish, which he uses all the time in TNA and, of course, in AEW whilst he was there as well. So who's to say that AJ Styles doesn't almost have kind of two retirement matches? Now, I don't think you're probably going to have Frankie Kazarian versus AJ Styles on WWE television because Kazarian hasn't been necessarily exposed to that much of an audience. And I think WWE, there's sort of bigger retirement matches that Styles could do. Maybe if it's a case of Styles saying, look, I want to choose my opponent, maybe AJ Styles doesn't care about that and he wants to choose someone that means something to him, he's got history with, and he's genuinely friends with outside the ring. And maybe Kazarian is a perfect example of that. But I think a scenario that maybe could happen is, and this is something that has been sort of teased, is that maybe Styles does have a kind of TNA retirement match and also a WWE retirement match. And if he was to have a TNA retirement match, there are select TNA stars he could face off against. Obviously, there's a lot of stars in AEW that he's got history with that he's not going to face off against. But I look at that TNA roster and I go, who does Styles have history with? And Kazarian certainly does stand out. Now, there could be other people on TNA's roster that maybe could be a better fit, younger talent. As I mentioned, whoever's the world champion, whoever's the X Division champion, sort of a Leon Slater kind of scenario. That might be the direction that they go in. Styles did interact with him when he made his return to TNA Wrestling at Slammiversary. But if Styles has full control over it and he does have a match in TNA, maybe it's against Kazarian. Or maybe he wants to face off against someone he's never faced off against before. And finally, Cody Rhodes, yes, the American Nightmare, QB1, someone who does have actually quite a lot of recent history with AJ Styles, no doubt about that, that's certainly for sure. AJ Styles has the history with Cody Rhodes in terms of they've battled over the WWE Championship a couple of times last year, whether it was in the main event of the WWE Backlash France last year. Also, Styles did the Mark Henry-esque retirement swerve, didn't he, last year as well, where instead of coming out in the salmon suit, he came out, was it like a powder blue? I think it was like a powder blue suit, wasn't it? Something along those lines. He redid that angle, and he had a lengthy rivalry with Cody Rhodes. So because of that, that would maybe suggest to me that maybe they could go back to that. And as of right now, when it comes to some of certainly the biggest stars in WWE, it does feel like, doesn't it, the WWE are trying their best to position Cody into everything as big as possible. Obviously, Cody's in that John Cena territory right now, whereby even if his match isn't the biggest match on the card, he's in the main event because he's the WWE champion, he's the face of the company, he's Cody Rhodes. And it could be another scenario whereby what bigger person to go out against than the WWE champion? Maybe it's one last shot at the WWE championship, one last opportunity to try and capture the title to defeat Cody, and Cody defeats him, and Cody does the honors for the champion on the way out and puts him over. Not so much of a passing of the torch, the same way that Cena kind of did with his matches against Rhodes, particularly that SummerSlam match that was so much better than their WrestleMania match, but you don't get bigger than going up against the world champion, do you? The biggest star currently in WWE. So I think Styles versus Cody, it wouldn't be the one that I would go with just because we've seen that match a lot recently and it's not really super special. But I guess given the stakes, if it's a retirement match and it's for the title, etc., then that could be something that adds a lot of weight to it. So Cody is certainly someone that will be in the mix, no doubt about that. But there you go, guys. There are 5 names. It could be AJ Styles' final opponent in WWE or just in pro wrestling in general if it's in TNA. Let me know your thoughts, your reactions, your opinions, as always, in the comment section below. Which ones do you agree with? Don't you agree with? Which ones are more likely than others? Are the names that I've missed out? I'm sure you'll let me know, as always, in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. As you can see right there, we're less than 200 subscribers to go until 25,000. Yes, there is still time to hit our goal of 25k in 2025. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Wrestle News 365. And if you know people that haven't, let them know, and we can hopefully get to 25k before the year is out. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in, as always, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.